Little delay. What is good? We're back. It's week 1. We made it through of some scrambling around for the sign. We got some fresh pops.
Oh, that was a 1.5 out of 10.
1.5.
Wasn't that bad?
That wasn't terrible.
Don't sell yourself short, although self-deprecation definitely plays these days.
We got a full-on tripod going on. Going to hit a little week 1 recap. Going to be hitting you with this kind of show every Monday, and we'll keep honing it in as we move along. But we're going to try to get through as many games as we can here through this stream, and then we'll be trying to hit you with another show that's a little more just 20 minutes on a topic, kind of like how we always do. We're going to try to move a little quicker in this one and talk about just overall recapping kind of what we saw. So week 1, who y'all want to start with? Let's go. You want to go San Fran, Chicago? Let's get that out of the way. Put me out of my misery first. Oh, doubling up on the intro. I like it. All right.
Run it back.
Cut.
Jason says, this is why we don't go live, guys. I can't control things.
The loop just turned itself back on. I got out of there real smooth.
All right. So San Francisco goes over to Chicago. It's a mess.
Literally,
Bring your brooms.
The field was a mess.
It's a mess. That's that sliding shot of Justin Fields though was pretty dope. Yeah. But terrible fucking game.
Terrible game. Both teams playing in the same conditions, so you can't really say anything. But the weather's a little bit of a great equalizer, in especially week 1 with essentially a rookie quarterback. You didn't get anything good from Trey Lance necessarily, and I mean, Justin Fields did just enough to win that game for the Bears. So I mean, hats off to the Bears and the new regime over there getting their first win. But it's tough to really evaluate exactly what you saw in that game just because of the conditions. Like, it was just an absolute slop fest.
Yeah, for sure.
So, some good and bad with Trey. You could see that he's not necessarily going to need to be the best quarterback off the rip.
Should they be playing Jimmy now?
No.
To be good at fantasy. I'll finish that thought real quick. No, here's the thing.
He sucks. Get Jimmy in there. We need Jimmy.
Remember last year when San Fran played that game against the Colts in San Fran, and it was a monsoon, and Jimmy wasn't very good. Like, it's just like, what are we literally
but Lance completed 9 passes.
This is why fans are the absolute worst.
I mean, Fields.
And
8 passes.
It's because literally all season long last year, all you heard I don't know why we're playing Jimmy. We know what his ceiling is. We got Lance over here. What are we doing? And now it's like, maybe we should be playing Jimmy. These are the same people who were screaming for Lance all last year, like, buckle up, enjoy the fucking ride. He's playing.
Yeah.
He's playing the whole fucking season unless he gets hurt.
What about week 3 if you're 0-3?
Jesus Christ.
If you're 0-3 in week 3, that's impressive.
After week 3. I mean, you fucking get what I'm saying. This guy.
But either way, Trey Lance, not great, but also not the best situation to be rolling into week 1. Elijah Mitchell goes down. That kind of stuff.
IR now.
Yeah.
So he's out of there for a little while. But really, kind of what you're looking for in an ugly game like this is just to make sure the guys that you had on this team that you're counting on, the Aiyuks and the Debos, are getting the amount of usage that you want them to get. And out of a 68 total snaps that they played on offense, Brandon Aiyuk was in there for 67 of them, and Debo was in there for 56.
How did Aiyuk only missed 1 snap and had 3 touches? How does it make any sense?
He started off so hot.
Yeah, he had a 7-yard. He had a 7-yard rush, and then a 31-yard catch, and then he had a 9-yard catch the rest of the game.
When you only complete 13 balls, I mean, what can you do? I mean,
are you afraid? Can you fire up Aiyuk next week?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Yes, I'm firing.
Basically what I'm saying is it's not because they weren't playing. It's just an ugly mess of a game.
Yeah.
Debo, I don't know if that was necessarily the plan to give Debo that much run as far as running the ball, but Elijah goes out. You don't have TDP active because he doesn't really play special teams. You have Jordan Mason out there and Jeff Wilson. They both play special teams.
Yeah.
So you roll them with them active. We'll see how TDP rolls in the fold. As far as waiver wire goes with Jeff Wilson, I guess go for it. I mean, I wouldn't blow it all on Wilson, but I mean, you saw the difference between those two, Mitchell and Wilson, in that game.
Yeah.
Night and day difference between explosiveness.
Mitchell looks so good.
Wilson can get it done, but it's the Niners, so don't be surprised if next week it's Mason leading it, or if it's TDP leading it, or we just don't really know. So I wouldn't get too over my skis for Wilson, but it's not the worst pickup.
Both of them.
But Trey is what it is there on that side of the ball. It wasn't great. He ran the ball. He doesn't have to be a great pro, and also he hasn't been a pro for that. He's barely played. Just buckle up, take the lumps, and let's move forward. Let's let him play. He hasn't played. He didn't play a whole lot in college. He didn't play a whole lot before that. He's coming from the FBS level. So let's pump the brakes and just let him take his lumps for a minute. The interior of that line's not very good. But, I mean, if you're going to give me 11 carries a game, 10 carries, 9 carries.
Also missing maybe your best receiver in George Kittle.
And no Kittle, as well as that will help the offensive line if Kittle's around, a great blocker. So no Kittle in that contest. We don't know when exactly he'll be back. But I'm not necessarily sounding the alarms for the 49ers. I think everybody was just kind of waiting in the wings to pounce on Trey Lance for whatever reason.
They got it was just so quick.
It was just all season long last year. It's just sad that this is what being a fan is of sports. It's just it's basically like having the recall of a dementia patient, because it's you guys were clamoring for Trey. Oh, we know what the ceiling is for Jimmy. Look at Jimmy overthrows him. Why are we not playing
Jimmy
Trey?
doesn't push it downfield.
This is every Penn State fan is the Sean Clifford.
The fucking worst.
Every Penn State is for Sean Clifford.
It's every fan for just the other guy.
Yeah, with a team that has a half decent backup quarterback.
Right. It's every team, and then who's Jimmy's around for because it was a good business decision. We got a whole pod on that. Go check it out. We don't need to talk about that.
Let's take it to the Bears.
The Bears.
Got to bench Darnell Mooney, or is this an abhorrent?
No, I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You could pull up the snaps for the other side of that. Mooney played. Let's see here.
Definitely only had 3 targets.
Mooney had 52 total snaps on offense, where Justin Fields had a total of 58. So Mooney's pretty much out there all the time. Again, just a slot fest of a game. There was a couple of times that Mooney was open. I mean, the big play that really swung the momentum is Fields rolling out left, finding Equanimous on the far side in a complete broken coverage.
Dante Pettis.
Or Pettis, sorry. Equanimous on the other one.
The 18-yarder.
So, good for them. Fields wasn't necessarily great by any means.
He didn't lose the game for him.
He certainly didn't, and he did enough to win the game and flip the momentum. And the Bears defense came up with some opportunities, and that weather, again, it's just it's a slot. It's hard to judge anything on that. What you did see is, Byron Pringle not playing a whole lot. Equanimous did play 44 snaps, so he was out there getting some pretty good run. Nothing from Cole Kmet. So we got a bet with one of the patrons. Shout out to Las Fats of the over on the Kmet receiving. I got the over. He's got the
was it the
under,
yardage?
The yardage. It's 500.
Yeah.
So I took the over. Not a good start for Kmet there, but the good news is that Kmet was out there for 48 of the snaps to be played. Again, mess of a game. But you did get a little bit of target action. For the other tight end, Ryan Griffin, he played 31 snaps. So I don't exactly know what's going on. That's not the best thing for Cole Kmet, but I think as we move forward and get into, regular ass games here,
aberration season,
probably be all right. And redraft, if Cole Kmet doesn't show up again next week, you could probably drop him and move on to somebody else. But I'd give it one more go around. The non-Kmet family is super stoked right now. And then, the other family that is really excited right now is the people who do not like David Montgomery and love Khalil Herbert. Shout out to the smuggest man on Twitter, Nick Whalen, because he was, he's got it right week 1. Herbert looked like the better back. He was definitely more efficient, but in general, David Montgomery played 38 snaps. Herbert played 17. Now Herbert was definitely more efficient with his touches. In that series to kind of close out the game. it was definitely more Herbert. Right now, it definitely favors Montgomery in the usage. It was a muddied up game. Sometimes when you just get that other back in there, things open up a little bit for him for whatever reason. Sometimes it most of the times that David Montgomery was touching the ball, somebody was right there. Herbert gets in there and played well. I'm not going to take anything away from Herbert.
Monty's still the preferred pass catching back, though.
For sure. And Monty's still, well out snapping him. We could see that, kind of close the gap a little bit in the next game. I would presume under reasonable footing that Monty would have get back to being a pretty good bell cow, because the numbers that he has as far as usage wise give him that ability to put up big time numbers. So
I'm not going to hold this game against Monty either. I mean, you're going against a ridiculous front with terrible conditions,
right? But Herbert did his thing in there, so I can't take it. And the regime has no ties to David Montgomery. They also don't have any ties to fucking Khalil Herbert. They ain't draft him either.
They don't have ties to Justin Fields,
right? But
cut ties.
Look, Herbert has played well when he gets his chances. Montgomery has also played well on this terrible offense for years. So I think Montgomery's going to be just fine. You were drafting him as a low end RB2, and that's probably what you're going to expect out of him for most of the season, with some games that elevate a little higher. Now, if that snap share gets a little closer and it's more of a complete timeshare, not as great for your Herbert stock, or not as great for your Montgomery stocks, and great for your Herbert.
Yeah, I think now might be the time to take a look at what the Herbert owner in your Dynasty league is looking for him, because he might be a great buy for 2023. Possibly,
yeah. I mean, the regime, everybody else likes to point out that they could just draft somebody else too, but sure. I agree. You see, probably not. Well, he didn't crush it, and if you weren't really paying attention,
he had a touchdown, but
you could fish around for a little.
Yeah,
Herbert.
sure, yeah.
Any other thoughts on this game?
Good.
All right, let's move forward. Who do you guys want to go to next? You want to do Eagles Lions?
Sure.
All right, so Philadelphia goes into Detroit, hops up on them early. Jalen Hurts, pretty decent game if you look at the stats, just okay for the most part as far as passing, but I mean really just kind of put the team on his back. 18 for 32, 243. So not the best efficiency with the passing, but I mean AJ Brown and him just were locked on from the rip, and Jalen Hurts was 17 rushes for 90 yards and a touchdown. He was doing everything he needed to do for this team. You weren't really sure what you were going to get, if it was going to be a little bit of what you saw at the end of the season or what you saw in the beginning of the season last year, where over those first 4 games, they were passing a ton and then kind of molded into a little bit more of a run base attack. And here, 32 attempts. I'll take that all day long. But the weird spot is that you get nothing from Devonta Smith there. Ooh. And AJ Brown just absolutely gobbles up all of that. 13 targets, 10 receptions, 155 yards. Feeling vindicated for anybody who had AJ Brown up in the top of their realm. And if he stays healthy, I mean, I can't imagine that Devonta Smith is going to be at 4 targets every game for the Eagles side of things. Or is there concern for Devonta Smith?
I was always a bit concerned with Devonta as the second fiddle in a low passing offense, but I wasn't expecting a goose egg.
They did run the ball 39 times compared to 32 passing attempts.
Yeah, it's close enough.
AJ Brown had, but rarely do teams run it more than they pass it, much less by 7. So
they were up really big there for a while too.
Yeah. True. And this is the Eagles, who's probably going to be one of the most run-heavy teams in the league.
AJ Brown comes in with like a 41% target share. That's just massive. Goddard gets 3 of 4 targets, I believe, and Devonta Smith doesn't catch any of his 4 targets. It's definitely concerning on a scale from 1 to 10. I mean, where are you at with Devonta Smith? You can't start him, right?
All those guys played basically around a ridiculous amount of snaps. 72 for Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert 69, 66 for AJ Brown, out of a possible 75 snaps with Jalen Hurts. So that's all good numbers for all those guys. It's not like anybody was up or down. No, I'm certainly not that interested in playing Devonta Smith week 2 after the attention we saw AJ Brown get week 1. Is there any buy low for Devonta Smith, or you just? I agree. I think everybody was a little bit in agreement. I think that we all like the talent of Devonta Smith. It was just, can he get the volume that's necessary?
Yeah,
I didn't think it would be 0, but
I mean, it might be. I mean, again, I probably wasn't spending a whole lot of stock on him to begin with, so I'm not buying low on him.
I could see that. I mean, he's a ridiculous talent. AJ Brown always, is dealing with something at some point. He's gonna have good weeks. Like he's gonna get loose, and
I mean, you wouldn't be surprised if next week Devonta Smith they kind of force more targets and catches his way.
Little greasing.
You would think that we would average out around 6 to 8 targets potentially for Devonta Smith a game.
Yeah. If you're like in this, if you're about to rebuild or if you've been rebuilding a little bit, trying to get younger, I don't hate trying to go after a donut Devonta Smith if you like the guy.
Yeah, in Dynasty, sure, I'll take a stab.
Right.
I mean, a redraft, I'm probably gonna.
Nah, I mean, any of these trades, I think we're talking about primarily Dynasty, right, guys?
Yeah.
So start, that's pretty general.
Right.
Waiver wire, we hit that. That's probably redraft because most of these guys wouldn't be obviously not available in Dynasty.
Sure.
But, some of them maybe. But anyway, I'd be down to try and – I like Devonta Smith, so I'm down to put out some feelers for him.
All right.
But don't be selling him. You can't sell a player after a donut.
Don't sell him for a second,
Jalen Hurts comes right back and rewards you for having him in fantasy. Strong QB play there from Jalen Hurts. Like I said, 17 carries for 90 yards. That's if he's gonna carry the ball that much, that's always gonna put you in the upper end of a rushing team. Miles Sanders 13 carries, Gainwell 5, Boston Scott 4. Sanders has a nice day, 96 touchdown. Obviously, you got no problem firing Miles Sanders up if you were tentative about him after week 1, or is that?
Yeah, I think Sanders becomes a pretty. I think he's solidly in the RB2 and solidly in the RB2 category now. Me at least. And then Gainwell has a little bit of standalone value as a flex play if needed.
We had Miles Sanders at 38 total snaps and Gainwell at 23. So
yeah.
Also, Miles coming in with a hammy. They go up pretty big. Maybe they kind of take him out of the game a little bit because of that, or maybe we're just going to see a pretty big 3-way timeshare between those guys with Miles Sanders kind of leading the way a little bit.
I think we're definitely going to see Sanders as the lead back, but how much of the offense is getting is the real question.
It behooves them to not give him too much off the rip because he does stay steadily banged up.
He looked good though.
What's weird is he always looks good when he's healthy to me. But what's weird is the social media of AJ Brown, how he's or not AJ Brown, Miles Sanders, they're not gonna give me the ball in the red zone, and he's almost whining on Twitter about his lack of touchdown opportunities and whatnot. And then they give Kenneth Gainwell 2 straight goal line carries,
and Boston Scott got one too.
Yeah,
so
which Sanders did get in there as well, but it's just what's going? You got to keep your mouth shut. You can't be doing that shit on social media. What's with that? Gives me a little pause, but
he said don't draft him this year too. So
he doesn't know where he's getting drafted though. He thought he was a first-round pick. I think he was definitely cheap enough to draft in Dynasty.
Dallas Goedert has a decent game. Rewards the Dallas Goedert people right off the rip. Only 9 fantasy points in for a tight end, but I mean you'll take that. 4 for 360 yards. But he's going to continue to be fed in this offense. He's a favorite of Jalen Hurts. As soon as Hurts exited, his target share went through the roof.
I kind of see Goddard as the second passing option there, but that's just me.
Yeah. It might bounce around a little bit, but Hurts is definitely comfortable with Goddard.
Yeah. Maybe I'm poo-pooing Devonta Smith a bit too much, but I don't know.
Derek Ross says Miles my buy low this offseason, late seconds. I think he'll get that back plus end of year.
Oh, for sure.
Recovering Ridley Truther, what up? Says, as a Phillies fan, saw a ton of Smitty. It's like A-Rob. He was open a lot, but A.J. Brown comes first.
Yeah. And I think that was the case last year as well. The Philly fans were all saying, why can we get Devonta Smith the ball more? He's open all the time. We think the talent's good, so you kind of can bet on the talent, but it's just like you said, we don't know where the passing volume is going to lay. Yeah. Hurts is definitely a little bit more of a, hey, I'll take off if it's not great, which is, it's good. He's a great runner. He should. And if he's going to be, if they can win ball games, then nobody really cares. We'll see what happens if the Eagles aren't in a winning position. But go ahead.
The real question is, who is Jalen Hurts having breakfast with?
Definitely A.J. Brown, apparently.
Yeah. He's having flex with A.J. Brown.
On the other side, we got the Lions, and really, I only came here to talk about St. Brown. for anybody who was telling you to not draft St. Brown because he wasn't going to get the target share, well, he got the target share, and everybody's healthy except for Jameson Williams, but he wasn't even on the team last year. So 12 targets, 8 receptions, 64 yards, 1 TD. Maybe take those guys out of your rotation because
the guys that told you not to stay away
the
from
sun
St.
god
Brown.
is shining. Shining.
Also grinding. He grinds.
Sure.
He's got a chip on his shoulder.
That's what he does.
Also 2 drops.
I saw on Hard Knocks, he was like, he could rattle off every single wide receiver that got drafted
that was cool. I
ahead
saw
of
that.
him.
Yeah.
And he was like, fuck everyone that drafted all those dudes ahead of me. I was like a 5th round pick. I'm never going to not have a chip on my shoulder.
They love him. He's part of that culture, as we talked about a bunch of times last year. And you know, they're going to work him into every game plan. He's too good.
Goff loves him.
I know. I don't know when everybody's going to put the respect on his name. Like, people were upset because you can't draft him because look at this target share because everybody was out. It's like, if you were drafting him for what he did last year, you'd have been drafting him in like the 1st or 2nd round. You were still getting him super late. Yeah. You were getting the discount
pushed down,
built in. I didn't even understand what you guys were mad about.
At the beginning of the offseason, he was a top 50. We were doing top 50 ADP shows, and then he fell out of it after the first couple of weeks of the offseason and just kept dropping. And then they draft the 1st-round wide receiver. Just kept dropping. But it's like he just picked right up where he left off.
Boom. Targets are there.
I think Jameson coming back is only going to help Amon-Ra.
Well, you say, Chark,
they play different things.
Right. Chark would you say is not, obviously he's not on potentially Jameson's level, but I mean that's kind of what you could be seeing right there. And Chark was a buy low for me all off season.
Paid off there.
8 targets, 4 receptions, 52 yards and a touch. Hawk 7 targets, 4 receptions, 38 yards. So you like to see all that. And then Swift just on God mode yesterday, looking like a stud. Only problem that you're looking at right now is maybe, Jamal Williams taking some of that goal line work. To be expected in some regard. It's nice to see. I'll be interested to see how close week to week they are in timeshare. For Williams and Swift, but this week, I mean, there's no reason to not give Swift his every single week. I mean, they're seeing the same shit we're seeing. I mean, it's just it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and Williams wasn't super productive with the carries he did have. I mean, 2.5 yards a carry, but he had 2 touchdowns. Right. So.
Got you down on the short yardage.
Swift got him there, and then
well, I mean, he was probably tired. I mean, it's 60-yard, a 50-yard carry, and then he just rode Williams into the end zone.
Swift was unstoppable.
Yeah,
and I'm just kidding about not listening to those guys. We all make mistakes. Just don't let it happen again.
About what?
About St. Brown.
He's mad at the people who said you can't draft St. Brown because
Who was saying not to draft St. Brown?
People who have parents for idiots. I don't know.
Idiots for parents.
Idiots for parents.
Parents for idiots.
It's Back to the Future. Like, he's an idiot.
Parents are probably idiots.
Parents are probably idiots.
Strong. It feels so good when he jokes.
Strong reference. All right, where are we going next, boys?
Yikes.
Go Saints Falcons. Not everybody at once. All right.
I'm over here typing. Answer.
I thought he had a list. I thought we had a.
He asked a question.
We can go anywhere you want, baby.
Where you want to go?
We just got frequent flyer Myers. We're going Saints Falcons now. I already told you where
Penn
we're
State,
going.
Ohio.
Ugh. God no. All right. So Saints get down early. Doesn't look good. Jameis doesn't look like he's going to eat a W or talk about head, shoulders, knees, and toes. But rallies back. Which side do you want to start with? You want to start Falcons side or you want to start
Let's do Saints.
Saints side.
Let's do Saints.
So Jameis battles back. 21 fantasy points for Jameis. 23 of 34.
All in the second half.
269, 2 TDs. Yeah. It wasn't looking great. But then Michael Thomas comes alive. Jarvis comes alive. Taysom Hill's doing things that nobody cares about, but it's just effing days up for anybody. And then, Olave still played a decent amount.
What'd you say? They just don't want to pay a running back?
Yeah,
that's why they have him labeled as a tight end?
He's making way too much money to be a running
back.
So.
Tight end.
Olave led the wide receivers in snaps.
Yeah. So, but which is great. And with guys like Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry healthy and the way that Jameis likes to play, I mean, he's obviously not scared to push it down the field. So there's certainly going to be some love for Olave. He is a rookie. That was his first game. But it's going to be tough sledding week to week to be consistent with Olave if Michael Thomas and Jarvis are out there doing their things. Those are just two great veterans.
Yeah.
that are going to be quickly on the same page with Jameis, and it was they battled back and looked really good. 8 targets for Michael Thomas, 9 targets for Landry, both with Landry with a much higher ADOT than people would expect from a Jarvis Landry. But that's what happens when Jameis is at the helm, baby. He's not scared. He's got so many dogs.
You firing Jameis up next week? I mean Jarvis.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't fire Jarvis up too much at the end of redraft drafts. We were just talking about this before.
Redraft drafts.
It was, for me, it was Jarvis and Julio. Doesn't look like you could go wrong with either one of those guys right now.
Right.
Both looked pretty good there. Didn't fire Jarvis up in any redraft leagues, but I did. Me and Big Co did fire Jarvis up in an FFPC.
Nice.
Didn't win though. So
not because of Jarvis.
Not because of Jarvis. He did his thing.
He was doing it and doing it well.
That's right. Now the concerning part of the Saints is the Alvin Kamara usage.
You got a little dinged up too.
4 targets, 3 receptions, 7 yards. Not on the ground.
Not terrible on the ground, but
not terrible. But I mean, 9 for 39, 4.3. Just not what you need out of Alvin Kamara. Not what you're expecting out of Alvin Kamara. Any hesitancy in Alvin Kamara moving forward?
I mean, what are you going to do? You got him. You got to fire him up. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, you spent huge capital on him. You can't not play him.
I mean, maybe try to sell him.
You can't sell him right now.
No, I wouldn't sell him right now.
You got to wait till a good game. You cannot sell players.
Well, there's at least some name cachet with him and some,
Yeah, I'm probably not selling. But I'm probably not selling. I mean, I'm not selling.
If I'm thinking that my team needs to get younger, then Alvin Kamara is a guy I'm probably looking for a good week, looking for a couple touchdowns, and then maybe try and.
Yeah, moving forward, we'll get these numbers in a more percentage-based thing. Just week 1 didn't have quite enough time to get it there. Alvin Kamara, 38 snaps.
Ironing it out.
Out of a possible 61 with Jameis. So not terrible there, but Mark Ingram didn't look like a slouch in this game. He didn't look terrible, and then Taysom comes in and muddies things up. What you got?
I want to talk about something with snap shares.
Uh-huh.
Look at my boy Juwan Johnson there, playing 45 snaps, 33 pass block, 33
pass routes,
or 33 on passing plays. Could be a great little waiver wire pickup for your tight end premium leagues. I mean, he had 5
Dynasty leagues. He probably all got dropped at the end of last year because he was a big pickup, and then right out of there.
Had 5 targets. I mean, Jameis seems to like him. He had a great hurdle.
Yeah, I mean, he was a guy that me and Big Co were pretty heavy on picking up at the beginning of last year. Didn't really pan out. So
he's big on TikTok.
Just been waiting for that tight end for the Saints since Jimmy Graham left.
It looks like maybe.
It could be Johnson.
Probably pick up Taysom Hill off the waiver wire.
Yeah. Especially that cheat code at the tight end position. Jeez.
All right, let's hop over to. So nobody's selling Alvin Kamara, huh?
No.
Okay.
Not right now.
No.
Gotta wait.
Falcons side of things, Mariota looks like he's capable.
Yeah, sure.
Certainly didn't look bad over there. But CPAT's really the story, I think, on this side of things. Drake London had a nice rookie debut. But CPAT really putting up 25 fantasy points, 3 receptions, 16 yards.
Damian getting banged up helped that as well, too.
22 carries, 120 yards, 5.5 a carry. Just looking super fucking spry out there. Usage was way up. We'll see what happens with your boy Algier next week.
What the hell? He probably doesn't play special teams, so
maybe Avery Williams, I'm going to assume, probably play special teams.
Yeah.
I thought I read somewhere that was kind of his specialty.
Yeah.
So maybe he got the nod, and maybe they weren't expecting to have to play him.
Yeah.
So we'll see kind of how Algier mixes in there.
Hold tight in Dynasty, obviously.
For sure.
Maybe if you draft him and redraft, I'd wait to see if he's going to be active week 2.
Yeah, if you have the room, you could. But right now, I mean, there's no reason to not give it to CPAT. I mean,
for sure, he looked great. Looked absolutely great.
What a fucking pickup right now in like the 13th round of your Dynasty startups, or I mean, I don't even.
The real question is how long can it last? That's my concern.
Last season, he looks like he's picking right back up. He did get nicked here and there, but I mean,
I hope it can. I mean, it's a great story, but
fantastic Cordero Patterson performance. And what does suck is some of those Dynasty teams that were getting propped up by the Cordell Patterson last year are going to get propped up again by him. Just Fugazi teams.
Your fucking brother. Jesus Christ.
Drake London, nice start. 7 targets, 12.4 fantasy points. So good to see that there. 10.6 yards per target, 14.8 yards per route run. So well done by Drake there. And then Kyle Pitts, 7 targets, only 2 receptions, 19 yards, 9.5 yards per route run. So
time to sell him?
No, I mean, is anybody worried about Kyle Pitts over here?
Maybe don't draft him in the first round of a tight end premium league. Just all I'm saying.
Or number 5 overall in Superflex?
I mean, that's
what y'all do, right?
Yeah, but you get 2 points per reception for tight ends.
Extra tight end premium.
Right.
Yeah, super tight end premium.
So, and I mean, we would have kicked the shit out of your team this week. So
hey, you shut your mouth. Talking about. You shut your mouth.
But Kyle Pitts out there for 63 of a possible 75 snaps.
Usage is there, yeah.
It's there. Yeah. You just need to calm down. It'll come. You're probably going to be just fine. So that's
great pass blocking grade too.
Yeah, it's PFF giving him a little green dot there. So you don't hate to see that. But
actually, we do hate to see it. I mean,
I think he was mostly in line and in the slot for the lineup there for Pitts. But we're okay. Don't need to burn things down.
Don't need to overreact too much
just
on that
yet.
one.
I think Kelsey and Waller were the tight ends of the week. And
Kelsey's always
sure.
Yeah.
So all right, next game. Who we got? Where you want to go?
Let's go to
Green Bay, Minnesota.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Which side do you want to start with?
Let's do Green Bay.
23-7 in favor of the Vikings there. Aaron Rodgers just looking just like a dude who wants everyone to get off his fucking lawn. Like just a curmudgeon.
Certainly not happy.
No.
Dude, it was awesome watching the montage they put together of Aaron Rodgers being salty. Just all the slow motion, head shakes and just frustrated, salty Aaron Rodgers. They really did a disservice on the montage
for
slow
sure.
motion videos.
Looked super old too in some of those just
a lot of gray beard.
Facially, looked pretty old.
Bad haircut.
Yeah, that's a weird haircut. Yeah.
If I had hair, I wouldn't cut it like that.
Guy is always wearing hats.
Not always.
Aaron Rodgers, 22 of 34 on 195, 1 INT, 4 sacks. I mean, that O-line was looking a little shaky, and that front for the Vikings was on point. Christian Watson dropping a big one right off.
Oh, I knew you loved that.
I did. People think that I'm just a huge Christian Watson hater. It's not. I like Christian Watson, and A-Rod's gonna have to get over it. That's gonna be the guy. He was open. He just got to figure out how to catch it. Hasn't played a whole lot of football at a big level like this. So
yeah, but what would have happened if Watson would have caught that?
Right. Sure.
I mean,
the world would have lost its mind.
I was out on the cost of Christian Watson just because I thought that there might be some growing pains, and we don't know how long Aaron Rodgers will be around. So I wasn't going to waste a first-round pick. Now, as we moved further and further into the season, Christian Watson got cheaper and cheaper. I bought some Christian Watson.
Yeah.
Because for the reason that if he did catch that fucking ball, holy shit, that thing would have jumped right back through the roof.
Yep.
So, just be glad you got some Christian. Hopefully you didn't overpay for your Christian Watson shares, but it's coming. It'll be fine. He doesn't really have much
He's
of a
great
choice.
athlete.
Right. As long as he doesn't keep dropping every single ball, he doesn't need to be MVS light or MVS new or MVS 2.0, but seems like it right now.
He did only have 2 catches for 34 yards, and one of those was a 20-yarder at the end of the game from Love. So Aaron Rodgers definitely went away from him the rest of that game.
At the end of the day, you got Sammy Watkins, Juwan Winfrey, Randall Cobb, just a bunch of and then Big Bobby T could be, if he's out there for your tight end spots in redraft, probably not the worst shot at a pickup there. He needs somebody that he wants to rely on. He clearly wants a veteran, and Robert Tonyan looked pretty good moving around out there coming off the injury, and we saw him have a big season with Aaron Rodgers. We were hoping that it would be the same thing last year. Wasn't really there, and then he got hurt. So Tonyan could be the the shiny object in this room after week one. I think the big surprise is Aaron Jones maybe being out targeted by AJ Dillon. Concerning there.
For sure.
Just by one, or no, I guess 2 targets.
Out targeted and out carried.
Right.
Doubled up on carries.
Right. So really just usage wise, just I thought that those guys will easily coexist, and we don't know what'll happen week to week.
Weird,
but
yeah.
It's Aaron Jones being able to, really come in because they don't have great passing options and being that great receiver. We've seen him be super explosive with the ball in his hands and have relatively good hands. But AJ Dillon really not terrible with the hands and probably going to get a little bit more of that red zone inside the 5 work.
Yeah, it's a bigger body. Yeah.
Was taking it over last year a little bit. And I mean, AJ Dillon looks pretty damn good.
Wow. I wanted to be like, well, the Vikings were beating them up, but the time of possession is almost the same. They had the same amount of offensive plays. It just wasn't working. Wow. Didn't see that coming.
Jones did outsnap him.
Yeah. So any thoughts on buys or sells in Packerland over there before we move to the Viking side?
I guess maybe a good time to buy low on Tanyan if he's available.
Sure.
I mean, if you've got a good team, maybe a good time to buy low on Aaron Jones. Like,
would you trade it first for AJ Dillon?
Yeah. I think you got to.
What do you think, Joe Herbert?
Joe, you trading it first for AJ Dillon?
We'll take it off the air. I think the Viking side of things, we don't need to stop here a whole lot. Cousins was fucking good. The offense looks really fun.
Looks really great.
What's going on over there in Minnesota looks like it could be a whole lot of fun. The defense looks good.
Justin Jefferson, still good.
Still fucking good.
Justin Jefferson's a new, younger, improved Cooper Kupp.
Is he? Did he move number 1 in your rankings after this
over
week?
Jamar Chase?
Yeah.
No.
I've always had him at number 1, but you were number those.
Yeah, I had Jamar Chase at number 1. I mean, Jamar didn't do anything to be like, I got to move him down 1.
Certainly not.
I don't think you can go wrong. I don't think you can go wrong. Gun to my head, I still haven't taken Jamar. Gun to my head. He's a year younger.
He's a year younger.
You would have got shot already. You haven't even picked. I put the gun to your head.
Wait a second. There's no you don't there's not like a time limit on gun.
Yeah,
there is.
You put a gun to your head, you fucking answer.
Yeah.
Apparently, you've never had a gun to your head.
Definitely not.
not
I thought you just had to strip.
Sometimes.
What? How are you?
Sometimes you get robbed,
And you just take your clothes off?
Sometimes they make you.
Romeo Dubs.
Dubs.
W's.
It's Dubs.
It's Dubs.
Dube step.
Dubstep.
35 snaps out there for him. Got a couple catches. They were talking about a little bit of a miscommunication with him and Rodgers there. So
Joe says he's up for Dillon.
Got to get again. Rodgers has got to get over it, man. You got to throw it to these guys. They're probably your 2 best options.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Lazard.
Pour one out for week 1, Sammy.
Yeah, well, a good point though. It does seem like Lazard, for
it's like I like Lazard. Lazard likes the breakfast that I eat.
We kind of know what Lazard is, but it seems like Lazard's target efficiency is going to be fucking really, really good from from Mopey Rodgers over here.
See, he catches it.
Right,
guys. Look at that.
We'll be interested to see. Just unfortunate to not see him in there week 1. All right, where you guys want to go next?
We got to talk about Ceedee Lamb.
Yeah, so you want to go to Cowboys Bucks? How about you guys on the stream there? Tell us who you want to see next after Bucks Cowboys here.
Big D smoked us. He said Jefferson was my QB flex this week, and Patreon 3 seemed to work out.
Hey, watch your mouth.
Smoked us.
You watch your mouth.
Good job, Big D.
Talking to me.
You the man.
All right, so Dallas looks like big trouble in Little D.
Little D.
Yeah. Not good over there. Didn't look good when Dak was healthy. Now Dak is unhealthy. My biggest takeaways from that game are not really sure why Zeke wasn't getting fed more, because every time he touched the ball, he looked pretty damn good. And then CeeDee Lamb making it harder and harder to make the case for you to keep the confidence to stay up where you need him to be.
AJ Brown or CeeDee Lamb in Dynasty?
AJ Brown.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not even a question at this point anymore. 1 week in. Overreaction?
It's not necessary. I mean, obviously now you don't have Dak, so
11 targets.
That's not fucking great. Well, it's like 11 targets, but how do you only come down with 2 of them? And like, look, some of them weren't the best throws ever, but you gotta fucking come down with them, dude. Like, and it's not. He is able to get open. It seems like from what we like 11 targets. It's your turn, man. You're up. It's time to shine. And there just wasn't a whole lot of shine. Dak wasn't sharp. The offense wasn't necessarily sharp. It probably is a slight overreaction to somebody whose name's already a little tarnished. I was saying, hey, I think he's going to be just fine. Probably 140 targets over there, because why not? I mean, and we started, or 140 catches or whatever. Like, we started off really good with 11 targets. You would have think you could bring down 8 of those. Yeah. And we would have been in good fucking shape.
Even 6.
Yeah. Half. 5.5, whatever. Wasn't good. 2 for 29, nothing going on there. But like I said, when Dennis fucking Houston's out there getting targets, you're in trouble over there.
Simi Feheko, Noah Brown. Noah Brown.
Shout out to Riley Burmeister. That was his guy.
Put him on the waiver wire pickup.
You picking him up?
No.
He's available in Dynasty, I'm sure. Like, you might as well.
On a big bench, if he's out there, you could throw him on the bottom of the team.
Somebody needs
it's Gallup back in a week or two. I'm not picking up Noah Brown.
Yeah, I mean, you're just going to be an ugly offense to deal with here, probably for the next couple of weeks. We don't know. I guess it's going to be Cooper Rush. I don't know.
I'm not spending a bunch of money on him, maybe $1 or $2.
Tell you what I did like when Cooper Rush came in, Dalton Schultz. Literally, I do not know how this whole offense wasn't operating around Dalton Schultz, Ezekiel Elliott, and they were trying to get Ceedee going. But like at one point there, they just started hitting those little intermediate throws to Dalton Schultz. I was like, why has that not been going on all game?
I think on one drive, Noah Brown had like 3 or 4 catches in a row.
Yeah. And you're targeting, like, how is Dennis Houston should never be targeted over Dalton Schultz. Just shouldn't happen.
Shouldn't even be on the field.
So Cowboys side of things, kind of gross. What are you doing if you have Dak Prescott in Superflex?
Holding.
Move him to the IR.
Well, I mean, as far are you trying to pursue another quarterback pretty heavy, hoping you have a good QB3?
Hoping you have a good QB3. I mean, you can try and dump him, but I mean, that seems like a short-sighted play unless you really think you're a contender this year.
He wasn't good yesterday.
Yeah.
But
would you, if you're trying to contend this year, would you trade Dak for Kirk Cousins?
Aren't they the same people? Isn't he just the Cowboys Kirk Cousins?
He's a lot younger.
Yeah.
It's like 7 years younger, probably.
A little bit more mobile.
Maybe less than 7. Maybe Dak might be close
I'll take
to 30.
Fuck it. Yeah, sure. Whatever. If I think I can contend, I mean, yeah, whatever. How many snaps has Dak even played in the last 3 or 4 years? Kirk's played them all. I can answer that for you. Actually, he had COVID and
they missed the playoffs.
They did. But
Cousins is 5 years older than Dak, by the way.
Only 5.
It's probably not the best move. You'd probably have to get if I could turn it into plus. Kirk plus.
Sure.
I feel fine with Kirk being my QB2 because hopefully Dak was your QB2, but maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was your QB1.
People had high expectations of Dow's offense.
But I know Kirk takes a lot of shit, but Kirk was pretty good last night. And
I think we missed a DK Metcalf fumble, by the way.
Depending on
Big D said send a second for Goff and for Mariota.
Yeah, I think that's probably a little bit more reasonable of a play. Try to get Geno.
Big D back on my good
Mariota,
side. Second for Goff.
Goff, try to maybe pick up one of those guys. That's a good call, Big D. A little cheaper, but I like the going right after. If I get Cousins plus for Dak, I'd be okay with that right now. Fuck it. If there's any indication of what we're about to get from Minnesota from what we just saw, I mean, I'm in. Availability is your best.
Green Bay is also missing Jair Alexander as well,
right, and they were missing some O linemen as well.
Yeah.
So, all right, Buck side of things. Fat Lenny looked just fine last night.
Fat Lenny, Fat Uncle Lynn.
He's doing just fine.
Fat.
No, absolutely slated. I was a little worried coming in with that line's been shifted around.
Oh man,
had another injury right off the rip, but Lenny was just gashing them boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not a whole lot of long gains, but just consistently 5-6 yards.
Yeah, 21 carries for 127 yards, 6.0 a carry.
Yep.
I was a little skittish of Lenny in redraft this year.
I was taking him at the end of the second round.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I was stacking JT and Lenny.
It looks great. Couple catches for Lenny. 2 targets, 2 receptions. Rachaad White got some playing time at the end of the game there. Looked fine. But if that's any indication of what's moving forward, the notes of, hey, we're going to try to preserve Lenny a little bit, that's right the fuck out the window because Lenny was just out there balling, doing
he was
his
eating
thing.
in a good way.
Right. He was on on the TB12 eating up.
Yards are allowed to be eaten on TB12.
Right. So
he was not eating like Eddie Lacy.
But on another note, Twitter was great this morning because I didn't have to see a whole lot of
Tony
Pollard not starting over Ezekiel Elliott. It was pretty
He
nice.
had 6 carries for 8 yards.
I'm not. It's never hating on Tony Pollard. I just don't understand the
hate on
Zeke Elliott
and the extreme love of Tony.
Right.
Pollard had 6 carries for 8 yards.
It's the same thing as
with a long of 9.
You just always like the guy who's waiting in the wings. You like the unknown.
Sure.
It's fanhood.
That one carry looked good. That 9-yard carry.
9-yard carry.
All right. The patrons give us anybody who they want to talk about?
Wait,
or the live stream people?
No Julio talk here?
Did we get a little Julio down by this? Yeah.
I mean, he looked fresh.
He looked really good. I mean, Godwin now out for a little while. Russell Gage was seeming like an afterthought, but him and Tommy look like that's a good call, Matt. Him and Tommy looked like they were loving each other, ready to just they were just like watch these 2 old guys fuck shit up. He was taking reverses.
Mm-hmm.
He was targeting the hell out of
deep down. Took a deep shot, 50-yard play.
They said he was the fastest player in practice.
Training camp. Yeah,
hit over 20 miles per hour on the next gen stats on that 50-yard play.
I think we went and looked, and Julio's only rostered in 62% of Yahoo leagues. So just take a little peek. He might be there.
Who would you be selling Julio Jones in Dynasty? What can you get for Julio?
I mean, I can't imagine it's a whole heck of a lot.
I mean, would you rather have a third or Julio?
Oh, Julio.
I mean, I'll take Julio. I mean, obviously, everything's all contextual depending on where I'm at. I may try to wait a little while and see if I can get a little bit more of a contender and do a 2-3. Figure out to get a 2-3 swap with somebody to just try to up that value a little bit. But I mean, if I'm a good team, then I'm absolutely just hanging on to Julio. But I mean, I'd send out some feelers for holy moly.
And Javonte fumbles.
Yeah, didn't need that. Watching the game here, trying not to be distracted by it. But good call going back to Julio there.
Evans steady as ever. I mean, perpetually just getting overlooked. I mean, 5 for 71 and a touch. I mean, that's
right. I mean, he was getting some respect in redraft, but Dynasty definitely perpetually always overlooked, and was looking just fine last night. Yeah. So Mike Evans Julio,
also got banged up at one point as well too. On the same play, Godwin got injured.
Also perpetually banged up.
He's a hockey player though.
All right. Any other games you want to check out, or you guys want to just go kind of fantasy wise?
Well, Big D asked us if we had already talked about the Commandos.
No, we had not. We can hop on that.
Let's take it to Jacksonville, Washington.
Which side do you want to start on?
Let's do Jacksonville.
Okay. Jacksonville. So Trevor, a little up and down.
I didn't see a ton of hate about ET on Twitter. I didn't scroll for very long, but
I mean, pretty efficient on the ground.
Yeah, but he dropped a touchdown.
Yeah,
he dropped a touchdown, but Trevor also overthrew him on a touchdown.
Yeah,
like he was wide open, and Trevor could have hit him.
Won that game.
Done a little better there.
So, are you a pseudo Jags fan because you're Clemson?
Oh yeah, baby, let's go.
He doesn't have a real NFL team.
What do Jaguars do? Let's run.
Let's hide in the trees.
Let's roar.
Let's be expensive cars.
Terrible investment as a Jaguar. Who the hell buys a British car?
I mean, the emblem on the front, the decal is pretty dope. Now
they don't do that anymore.
I used to love I used to really like the XF. That newer XF Jaguar was pretty.
I mean, those F types, I've driven them before. They're nice, but I mean, I'm not.
Nice little turn it on. The dash is all solid and everything pops up. And
if it ever needs worked on, just forget about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Any luxury car, bad investment.
Well, no, not all of them. Land Rover, yes. Jaguar, yes.
Lexus, I mean, I guess if it's like a 1 of 500 or something, and you can keep it and you don't drive it, and it'll appreciate maybe. But like,
listen, you shouldn't be buying a luxury car if you can't afford to fix it. So.
Exactly. And we're moving on.
Right. But ETN, like I said, dropped a touchdown, was overthrown on a touchdown. The usage wasn't quite what you want to see there. But
James Robinson looks so goddamn good.
Yeah. And even split snaps, 36-34.
Right, but good to see.
Only if she's 5'3".
Them out there. ETN getting still a decent amount of usage. Just he looked good when he had the ball in his hands. So which he had in the preseason, and we gotta they just didn't quite look in sync.
They look more Backstreet Boys.
How worried are you about ETN here?
I'm not. He's just getting started, man. He hasn't. This is
basically
game.
his rookie year.
Exactly.
This is his rookie year.
Yeah.
Trevor's his boy. Trevor really was missing a lot of throws, overthrew several different players on several different plays. Couldn't quite dial it in. Definitely had a chance to win that game. I think the snaps. Did you already say that? James Robinson 13 rushing snaps to ET's 7 rushing snaps. But
I just talked about the general snaps, but
awesome yards per attempt for ET.
It's there. It'll be there. Now, if it starts being like just overrun by James Robinson, now we got a problem. I was big into buying the cheap J-Rob. Definitely, there's no way that I thought that J-Rob would come out here and look
like that.
Look that solid. Sure. Because we haven't gotten anybody to tell us any different coming back from an Achilles that hey, he's looking good, but
especially after we saw Akers on Thursday night.
Right, and we've seen
and with someone like James Robinson, who wasn't like explosive, ridiculous cutting, like
maybe that can play into it somewhat that he wasn't relying on the athleticism, but then on the other hand, like it's could be potentially zapping any athleticism that you did have, so it could so I didn't really know how that would play out, and it looks like it's going to be
like
just
the old
fine.
James Robinson,
J-Rob drafters being heavily rewarded right now. We will see how this kind of plays out moving forward, but that wasn't exactly what you wanted to see for ETN, but I think you're fine now. He played on a decent amount of passing snaps. He played a decent amount of running snaps. It wasn't that far skewed. So, not super worried about ETN just yet. Would you have ETN in the lineup next week?
I think you have to before you drafted him.
It'd be a pretty big luxury.
What if you drafted J-Rob too?
I mean, shit. Who are they playing next week?
Or what if you took Cordell Patterson late?
That'd be a luxury to have. Then
starting CPAT over ETN next week.
I could do that.
Got to, right?
Yeah.
They got the Rams.
Yeah.
I don't know who the Jaguars have.
They are playing
Packers, I think, maybe.
Colts.
Interesting.
I think I'm still playing ETN. I mean, in that scenario, I think I'm still playing ETN.
I think I'd roll CPAT on that one. I only have a few shares of ETN, not because I didn't want them. I was a big ETN supporter. I think it's still going to be just fine, but it was tough to get. But moving on to the other side of things,
Jags have the Colts next week.
Christian Kirk got things going.
And there's 2 Monday night games next week. So
nice.
What?
Yeah.
64 snaps for Christian Kirk to be on the field there. 58 for Zay Jones. So Zay Jones could be a waiver wire pickup for somebody looking for maybe a little receiving help.
Shout out Matt Kelly.
Shout out to Matt Kelly. Say my name, bitch. Evan Ingram, 50 total snaps out there. So that's what you like to see.
Shout out to Big Company.
Didn't really necessarily pan out for how you would want it to for Evan Ingram there, but
hey,
he was out there a lot.
Drops,
4 for 4.
4, yeah, exactly.
That's what you like to see. Wearing a weird number, so seems like a running back. He looks like a running back.
Must be a Wendy's guy,
right? But 12 targets for Kirk, six receptions, 117 yards, 19.5 yards per route run, 9.8 yards per target. So those are pretty strong numbers for Kirk. Good to see. For anybody who drafted Kirk, did start off a little bit slow. 20 fantasy points for your boy. Robinson got the receiving touchdown, and then Zay 9 targets, 6 receptions, 65 yards, 7.2 yards per target, 10.8 yards per route run. So
that's yards per reception, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, yards per reception.
Let's say 19.5 yards per route run. That would be incredible.
Right. So Jaguars.
If anyone could do it, Zay Jones.
Jaguars, room for improvement. Trevor, room for improvement. But we're building off of just dog shit and trying to get things rolling in the right.
Could have won the game.
Definitely could have won the game.
Not that it matters with fantasy, but.
Right. But any worries about T-Law moving forward?
No, I think you just got to dial it in.
Yeah, I think you just want to see some maturation there.
Just got to dial it in a little bit. They were up. They went for 2 when they didn't need to. They were down by 4. So if they just kick the
that's
extra
how Peterson
point,
gets his dumbass fired.
if they just kicked the extra
That's
point, they'd have been
stupid
down
shit.
by 3. It didn't affect the end of the game,
Right?
Because they were down by 6, and so they needed a touchdown in regardless after Jahan Dotson, which we'll get to him in a second, put it away. But
there also wasn't a whole lot of Carson Wentz hate on Twitter. People love to hate on him. I mean, I thought for sure he threw a untimely pick in that game, and I was like, oh, they're gonna be the pitchforks are gonna be out for Carson. But he comes in and does his old coach dirty and gets the dub against old Dougie P.
Yeah.
But 32 fantasy points from Carson Wentz. So anybody who drafted him as a QB3 or a QB2 in a dire straits situation,
I have a 2 QB league, and my QBs are Goff and Wentz.
boom, pick 1 and 2. Were they 1 and 2 or 1?
Yeah, 1 and 2. Yeah.
So 6 carries for Wentz, 12 yards. I'd like to see a little Wentz mobility get back in the fold here. But 32 fantasy points, 27 of 41, 313 yards, 7.6 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So you're going to have to live with some of the bad and some of the dumb shit with Carson Wentz, some of the bad untimely turnovers. But all of a sudden, this squad is with receiving core wise and running back wise. I mean, Antonio Gibson getting 8 targets?
Not dead.
Not dead yet. He's back from the grave. Curtis Samuel, if you were listening to what Carson Wentz was saying in the offseason talk, he was throwing verbal bouquets at Curtis Samuel, how he was so excited to play with him and then how much he loves him. And now Curtis Samuel being one of those guys who was injured and left for dead, coming out 11 targets, 8 receptions, 55 yards, 1 TD. Curtis Samuel, I don't know what he's owned in Yahoo leagues. Maybe he could be potentially out there in a league, maybe. But
let's take a peek.
Interesting game for him. Led the team in targets and fantasy points. Really 20. Antonio Gibson had 20, 8 targets, 7 receptions. But really, the willingness to get Antonio Gibson going and use him as a receiver was something that what we've been waiting for Antonio Gibson.
Curtis Samuel owned in 6% of Yahoo leagues, so he's probably on your waiver wire.
Love it. A nice little pickup for yourselves over there. Would you trade away or trade in for Curtis Samuel in Dynasty, or just hang out?
I'd probably be trading away.
Okay.
What can you get for Curtis?
Not much. Yeah, that's probably this.
Figure out how to jimmy away a second somehow.
Yeah, if you can get a second for Samuel, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see a lot of Terry McLaurin 2 catches. I mean,
but those
he got tripled up. He got tripled up in targets from Samuel to McKissick. So
they all played around the same amount of snaps.
Or not McLaurin. Sorry, McLaurin.
Dotson 47, McLaurin 49, Curtis Samuel 43. So, seemingly a lot of 3 wide receivers out there. Wentz played 52 snaps. So dime to Terry to help your fantasy day out. I think you'll see a little bit more shift that total around throughout.
Yeah. I still think McLaurin's going to end up being the best of the 3 come season's end. I feel pretty strongly about that.
Curtis Samuel had 4 carries. So I'd like to see that. Jahan Dotson had 1 for -10. That stings.
He sucked at that at Penn State. I don't know why they keep trying to hand him the damn ball.
14 carries, 58 yards for Antonio Gibson, 3 carries for.
And how many fumbles did he have?
I don't think he had any.
There you go.
This week.
That's all he needed to do. He just needs to come in and not be fucking up, and just be able to maybe hold position and not feel like they need to rush Brian Robinson back.
Yeah, he can kind of Wally Pip him.
7 receptions for 72 yards, baby.
McKissick only 3 targets, so that's what you like to see.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what the hurry up or the passing down situations splits were on those guys. Be something interesting. We're going to try to be gathering all of this information and come with more percentages and dial all those things in a little bit more as we move forward.
Unless you work for PFF, you can't get this data till Monday.
Right. So it comes in a little late, but I think if we all put our heads together, we could be grabbing a little bit more of that as we move forward. But Jahan Dotson, just 2 nice grabs for TDs.
Vindicated.
Great dashboard song.
How you feeling about Dotson?
I started him in a dynasty league.
You came back around at the end.
Came back around at the end.
Hands looked pretty good.
Oh yeah,
Best hands in this class.
old sticky paws.
So
did he have the best week of rookies?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the 2 TDs, Drake London would have had the best.
In terms of yardage, yeah.
2 TDs, the best fantasy week.
No tight end really to speak of. Logan Thomas did play a decent amount of snaps, 6 targets. But with those 3 wide receivers, maybe slim pickings for anybody else. And if Antonio Gibson is going to be schemed into pass catching positions, then good luck with really much else to go on. But Carson Wentz all of a sudden really surrounded with, probably maybe the best receiving core he's ever had.
Yeah. What have they ever given Carson Wentz?
Yeah,
shit. That's what they gave a bunch of shit.
You fucking jerks. All right, where are we going next?
Sorry, I just saw Russell Wilson just being fucking corny.
Being the corniest dude available.
Well, we've been in here. Joe says another dashboard concert, not the group. I'm sorry, I shouldn't sing. It's terrible. We got someone definitely just left.
You wanna jump around a little bit here?
We can jump around, and we need to hit the waivers here at the end.
All right, Breece Hall and Michael Carter.
Michael Carter dropped a big one, right? Or something happened, and then they decided to just throw it to Breece. So
yeah,
Breece ended up having a nice little receiving line.
So,
6 catches, I believe.
38 snaps for Breece, 50 snaps for Michael Carter. So
Carter was definitely more effective on the ground.
Michael Carter was definitely more effective on the ground.
Breece Hall caught 6 of 10 targets for 38 yards, 6 attempts for 23 yards.
Both good in the passing game, but it certainly does seem like Michael Carter is going to be in the driver's seat here for a minute. I mean, we started off this season saying when we got a little closer, it could be, I don't know quite what the JT splits were in the beginning when people were super upset about JT. I'm not saying Breece Hall is JT by any means. I'm just saying that
certainly has the athletic profile.
We could see similarities in the way they use him, and much worse situation for JT. You lost your quarterback coming into this. You lost Becton coming into this. Then you lost your backup to Becton that you just signed. So not good. But both Carter is decent in the receiving game, and Breece Hall should be really good in the receiving game. We should see these guys kind of grow moving forward. Is there hesitancy in starting Breece Hall from here on out?
With where you drafted this man, unless it's redraft and you just have a bunch of good players, you probably got to start him in Dynasty. I mean, how are you going to bench him in Dynasty when you took him in the 2nd or 3rd round of startup?
In the startup, I was going to say most likely you were a bad team if you drafted Breece Hall, so maybe
or you were a savvy trader.
True. Very true.
Or you won the toilet bowl and got the first pick. Or maybe someone fucked up and didn't take him first. But regardless, he was at the top of rookie. That's a good point.
Breece still got you 11 points, and Michael Carter got you 17.
That's fine.
You firing up Michael Carter this week?
I don't know. I don't know if they're playing. Let me look. They are playing the Dolphins. Sure looks like they're probably gonna be behind, so don't know who's gonna get the
Michael Carter, probably a decent little waiver wire ad in redraft.
Oh, there's no way he's out there in redraft.
Probably not.
There's no way he's out there anywhere. No.
Nowhere.
He's probably out there in some, but probably not many.
Yeah.
Firing up Michael Carter, you could do worse. If Michael Carter or Dameon Pierce.
That's a great
Well, I mean, let's stick to one game. We'll hop over to that game next, and then
Carter's owned in 77% of Yahoo leagues.
I would say off the rip, you probably should say Michael Carter.
Yeah,
but we'll talk about
DP
in a minute here. Obviously, Flacco checking down like
Joe Flacco
got down early. Lamar had a good game, just hitting the other side of that. Threw a couple of nice balls there. Devin Duvernay,
big play Duvernay,
4 for 54. Now he may be on the waiver wire for you, potentially.
Bateman with a touchdown.
Mark Andrews,
had led the team in targets.
Decent, easy day for the Ravens. It would seem.
Hopefully, you didn't start Isaiah Likely anywhere with that goose egg.
No, why would you? You just got him on the team just in case. Corey Davis, a little some flex appeal for next week, or 9 targets, 6 catches, 77 yards. Seem to be doing some of the dirty work in there.
I don't want to, but it definitely feels better than last week.
Let's say you got a big lineup. it's you got three flexes.
Yeah, I think you could probably play all three of the receivers at one of their flex spots there.
They probably won't be. Well, they're probably going to be down.
Probably be down.
They probably won't be down all the time, but they're probably going to be down.
Yeah.
Little Tyler Conklin in there, get a TD for you. Week 1. I fired him up.
We drafted him. What are you looking at me?
I had to talk you into him.
Panic mode for any of Jets wide receivers, Elijah Moore, the Garrett Wilsons of the world. You're good. You kind of knew what it was coming in.
I'm actually a little impressed about Garrett Wilson's stat line.
Yeah. Panic mode for Bateman, maybe not getting quite as what you wanted to see off the rip.
He's second in the team in targets.
Okay.
Scored a touchdown.
Carry on.
37 snaps out of a possible 56. So some people
he's not a tight end, so they can't let him play. All the time.
Some people were probably getting some snaps over him that probably shouldn't have been.
He was the highest receiver on the team.
But targeted well enough. So
I'm not panicking on Bateman, especially where you didn't have to draft him that high.
Yeah. But why is Demarcus Robinson getting 25 snaps?
Well, I can't come through in a pecan jag.
Any Kenyon Drake pickups for the waiver wire?
You should have picked him up already, but sure.
Should have picked him up already. Who were you dropping before that?
I don't know.
Like
Tyler
redraft,
Algier.
I'm talking.
Hey, probably, yeah.
Right before the
when
started.
inactives came out, but yeah.
Man, I don't know.
I mean, he's a 1 to 2 week play. Look at Judy going again. He's a 1 to 2 week play.
Yeah, can't be blowing a bunch of money on him.
No.
Probably don't want to lose your first waiver wire priority. If you're near the bottom of the list and you want to scoop him up to throw him on the bottom of your team, probably not the worst. Who else do you guys want to talk about? You want to go back over the Dameon Pierce side of things?
We should probably talk about that.
Obviously, Rex
elephant in the room.
Obviously, Rex Burkhead just coming in and
Rex Burkhead.
We killed that man.
Waiver wire pickup.
Yeah, for sure.
We killed that man when we were talking about Dameon Pierce.
Yeah.
The last time, and he came back with a ghost of fucking Rex.
Just a ridiculous snap share.
Just wrecked it.
Was it like 70-30?
50-20 in snaps.
I was going percentages. I think that's carry the one.
I don't feel like going. Sure, why not?
Rex Burkhead 14 carries to Dameon Pierce's 11 carries. Did Dameon Pierce lead all rookies in yards? Did he have more yards than Brees?
Rushing yards.
Hey, we're just trying to find small victories here.
Bad running back class.
Yes. Brees only had 23.
Boom. Suck it.
And Cook had 0.
Yeah. Cook
nothing. Literally had -half
with a fumble.
Yeah.
Burkhead 8 targets, 5 receptions. Dameon Pierce 1 target, 1 reception. Just odd usage right off the rip. Didn't love it.
Yeah, especially in a game that they were in the whole time,
right.
If not winning.
It's a slightly concerning. We know Burkhead necessarily doesn't hold up well.
Yeah.
But
we guarantee he won't.
But Stone
cold guarantee.
But we could week 2 we could see a flip flop in how those guys.
I don't think it's time to panic on Pierce. I mean, he's probably just not going to be. I think he's probably not in your starting lineup.
It just sucked that week 1 you had a lead, like you said, Jay Wayne, and that you didn't get to maybe get some Pierce. It was just everything suggesting that maybe he would, and he didn't, and just a little surprising to me that Rex Burkhead. Shout out to JB, who's really reveling in his life right now. Just really feeling good about his side
John
of our
Bauer.
argument. We had him on and talked about if Dameon Pierce is worth a 1.
No,
he said no,
absolutely not.
Well, now it's easy to say that now.
I would have told you that a week ago.
We were just defending his honor. All right.
There's plenty of Florida fans out there doing that.
Long season. He's a rookie.
Long season.
Lovie Smith doesn't like to win.
Yeah, I don't know.
He doesn't like to win.
Played
he
for that
wants
tie.
to play for the tie.
So let's Chiefs Patrick Mahomes. Like quarterback play being fucking so abysmal in week 1. He was a real shining light there. Kelsey on a roll. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, baby, making things all right. Clyde's back. I'm saying it
overreact
right
to Clyde week 1, 2 touchdowns receiving.
Pacheco had 12 carries, but they were slaying them. So if you look at that box score, it's a little skewed.
It is. Tracy McSorley get in the game.
Arizona Cardinals just dog shit on that side of the ball. I don't know what the hell.
Other than James Conner,
depleted.
Who can you start? I mean, I guess you start Hollywood, but I mean, I guess if you want to go pick up Dortch, that's fine. But I think Rondale's probably back this week.
Scoop up Eno if you got an extra spot.
Yeah,
because
he's the direct
good
back.
handcuff.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that you guys want to hit on here? Najee.
Shout out to Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, looking good. The Tyreek Waddle experiment looks like it's off to a decent start. Obviously, Waddle makes the one big play that kind of saves your fantasy day with Waddle, and Tyreek really gets pretty heavily targeted. But Waddle leading up to that throughout camp near the end there, injured a decent amount, just really cleared right before the game kind of started. So maybe I could see those two guys kind of going back and forth between who's leading in targets and who isn't.
Yeah.
So the Patriots just abysmal on everything, just making you hate everybody on that team.
Shout out Jacoby Myers
in full point PPR for sure.
I mean, I'm going to say something here. Drop Mike Gesicki in pre-draft.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't have drafted him, but sure.
1 catch for 1 yard on 1 target, and he was out-snapped by Smythe.
Yeah, I think he was.
Smythe me, oh mighty Smyther.
He was out-snapped probably by a couple tight ends on that team, and I think one of them might have got hurt, but that was
he was only out-snapped by Smythe.
That was not good. You saw what you wanted to see for the most part from who's not James Conner.
Chase Edmonds.
Sure,
looks
got
bright.
Plenty of usage in the passing game. I think moving forward, you're going to see that grow and get a little better. So any action on Chase Edmonds? Would you be trying to? He kind of kept low a little bit, but you could maybe be seeing a little bit more ceiling there.
I think he might be a sell.
I don't know if you can really sell him. He didn't have that great of a game, did he?
But he had the usage,
right, and he had the snaps.
People just want to see bottom lines, man.
Yeah,
it's not the week to sell. I don't think it's a good.
Okay, if you can get
Patriots defense, I mean, no, I'm in for that ride. I'm not trying to just sell for nothing.
You'd sell
if I can get a second out of him.
All contextually, but
I'm not going to sell him for a 4th.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm saying if you're depending on how your team is, if your team's rebuilding, then maybe you try to sell him.
If he's my RB4,
I'd be trying to get a little bit more than a 2 if I could, but
I don't think you're getting more than a 2 for Chase Edmonds.
Well, I'd hold then and wait till he has some better games. I think
I don't think you're going to get much more than that.
Not going to get more than 10 points.
A second-round pick.
Oh, okay. I think we can get some 20-pointers out of him and him looking pretty strong.
And someone's going to trade you a late first for Chase Edmonds?
No. I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying a first. I'm just saying maybe multiple later picks. 2 2s. A 2
Beck,
or 3.
You got to pick up Beck. Everyone's going to be going after Beck. False start, so it didn't count. But.
On Sutton wants the TD.
Shout out Saquon Barkley being all the way
so good.
Back, all the way fucking back. Suck it to anybody who didn't want him because that was dumb. He looks ridiculous.
Shout out to someone talking them into picking him in the second round of
just
startup.
Guys being banged up and nice Christian McCaffrey made it through. Didn't quite get what you exactly want to see out of usage. I wasn't really sure why the Panthers were kind of struggling to move the ball there. Why you're not getting see the ball in space makes no sense. You didn't even need to be in space. Just throw it to him.
And they didn't. And the DJ Moore was a little weird too.
Yeah, I don't know. Baker not great in first game in Carolina. There, fucking Robbie Anderson,
Donovan Peoples-Jones.
What a piece of garbage that guy is.
DPJ, pick him up.
DPJ, good call. Amari Cooper was actually not in the box score, but physically out there playing the game, looking really strong. So
look at some
you kind of you might have to grab him and just close your eyes and wait for a minute. He didn't have a good game statistically.
They both were at 66
but
of 80 snaps.
He's going to be out there, and he was already cooking, looking good. So when Watson comes back, I think. But DPJ seemed to be. We talk about it all the time. Who's going to be when you get a different quarterback in there? Who's going to be their guy? DPJ seemed to be that guy. Which you were giving DPJ some offseason love. We were all giving DPJ a little offseason love. He could potentially be out there in some redraft.
Oh, I would imagine. He's probably less than 40% owned.
So Saquon, a good day from Saquon. Kyle Phillips, shout out to Kyle Phillips getting some targets. Treylon Burks looked fine. Like to see a little bit more, but
4% owned in Yahoo leagues.
For who?
DPJ.
DPJ, bottom of the bench him. I know Jahan Dotson was out there in quite a few redraft leagues. We scooped him up right before the game started.
Nice.
So that was good. So if he's out there in some redraft leagues, scoop him up because that looks like it could be fun. Anybody else? Anything else you guys want to touch on before we get out of here?
Let's talk about the waiver wire pickups.
All right.
I put them at the top of the list of the sheet here, and maybe we can just go through it. Maybe cut this segment out. Maybe even post it tomorrow morning. Put it as a separate thing because I don't know. What do you think? Talk about the order of them, maybe.
I mean, it's tough to say the order necessarily, depending on what you have going on.
This isn't in an order. I just it's like who's the top waiver wire?
We're basically mostly talking redraft. We didn't really get into too many dynasty pickups in this draft. Like Kylan Granson, if he's out there in dynasty, he might be a decent pickup. He had out targeted Mo Alley Cox, and I think he might have out-snapped Mo Alley Cox. So that couldn't be the worst. If Jody Fortson isn't on your team in deep dynasty, maybe scoop him up, put there, especially tight end premium. He got a little touchdown for you. Just trying to find some deep stabs for these dynasty folks out there. I'm sure there's a few more. But Greg Dortch
went 7 for 9.
Carter, DeAndre,
yards.
we didn't talk about that Charger game. Carter came in and had decent.
Keenan got banged up. Yeah,
he's
he
who
got
we
a little
want
banged up.
Josh Palmer to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Richie James, 5 for 6, 59. How on the 2 snaps that Kadarius Toney had the ball in his hands, how that man was not playing?
I don't understand.
And
I don't understand.
There has to be something going on.
I'm
because
hoping
it is
I'm
absolutely absurd with the ball in his fucking hands.
I'm hoping the Toney situation is what we saw last year with Aiyuk. There was some offseason stuff going on. He's out in the doghouse. Hopefully, with some solid play, he can get back in the good graces of Dable because he's easily the second most talented.
Played 7 snaps, didn't have a target.
Yeah, and then you're having the statue out there, Kenny Golladay. I mean,
bro, I have no idea how Kadarius Toney, like, you give him 2 handoffs. One he might have been trying to throw it, looked like, but
right,
like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, he's got to be so. Richie James for me, probably not all that interested in.
No.
If you're maybe dynasty, that'd be a more of a stab. DeAndre Carter, dynasty.
Is Jeff Wilson at the top of this waiver wire pickup?
Yeah, I would think
Jeff
so.
Wilson probably up there for most of them. Jalen Warren, if you're looking for a running back, is maybe don't blow the fab and don't maybe waste the number 1 waiver wire pickup on him.
Got to be up there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I guess DPJ in there too if he's at 4% owned.
I mean, Curtis Samuel in redrafts has probably got to be at the top of that list for me. And DJ Chark, if he's not owned. I don't know what his percentage was at. I feel like he was probably drafted a little higher than Curtis Samuel. But so I
got a lot of camp love.
Jeff, again, going back to Jeff Wilson, I wouldn't go super nuts on him because the Niners are the Niners.
Yeah, maybe.
I also a little scorned on the Jeff Wilson. I did a little picked him up for a lot of late round picks last year and had him and just wasn't quite right and didn't look like himself and didn't really pan out. So I'm a little hesitant on the Jeff Wilson this year.
Everything that I read is he was clearly the backup.
Right. And we'll see with what TDP and Jordan, but just like you got Jordan Mason in there who made the team over Sermon, and it's just like, you just, I don't know. The Niners scare me. They scared me with Elijah Mitchell, enough heading into the season to back me off of him somewhat a little bit here and there. I still have a lot of them from the drafting him in the 3rd round of rookie drafts 2 years ago, but I'd Curtis Samuel at the top for me.
Okay. Who else? Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, but he's probably down there with Warren for me.
That'd be
He's a 1, maybe 2 week play.
I'm swapping him out if you got Jalen Warren, obviously, or if you have Najee Harris, obviously Jalen Warren's more important to you. But it would really in a redraft bench that aren't that big, it's really tough to just hold Jalen Warren the whole time
for sure.
So Zay Jones, I think decent pickup. Potentially got some love. So I'd say Curtis, Jeff Wilson, probably the top 2 right now for me. I mean, I'm sure we're probably missing somebody because this isn't like a straight up just waiver show. Just being like, I comb through all the waivers. We're just kind of going through, picking them up as we went along.
Nice little Taysom Hill for your tight end stash.
Yeah.
Juwan Johnson for the deeper
These
dynasty
are
stash.
Yep.
Dynasties. Yep. So Dortch, Carter, Richie James, Juwan Johnson, maybe Noah Brown for your dynasties.
Get him in there.
Noah Brown.
Every time he made a catch, I was like, is that Ceedee? Nah,
Nope.
Is that Ceedee? Nah, damn. That's not Ceedee.
But
Damn, it's fucking Brown.
I like the DPJ call. You could throw him on the bottom of the bench and see if that keeps going, targets. So
Yeah.
I'd probably move him up a little higher. Obviously, the running backs are going to be the hot commodity every time on the waiver wire because everybody's going to be looking for him. Not too many injuries week 1, skill position wise.
Other than Mitchell. Yeah. No. Which means
Najee,
which means they're coming.
They're potentially coming, and it's always nice to be a week ahead.
Yep.
We're gonna try to do like we just did and incorporate waivers in this while we're doing it because we're not gonna get a show out before Wednesday or Tuesday a lot of the times, but we will be trying to double back and hit you with one more show this week of something that we dive a little deeper into. This was just we're gonna try to hit this every week and dial this in best we can and just hit all these guys, talk about everything, talk about what we're seeing, what we're feeling. We might not get to every team every week. We might only get to half the teams every week. But this is going to be kind of the Monday stream for your pleasure. So anything else that you guys want to throw in there?
So we had a question from Brett Francois. I like that last name. I don't know if I can pronounce it correctly. He wants to know, would you play Bateman, Thielen? Would you play Bateman or Thielen over CeeDee Lamb? Because he's got the 3 wide receivers: Hollywood Brown, Deontay Johnson. I'm fine firing those guys up, right?
Deontay had a nice day,
and then he's got CeeDee Lamb, and then I guess he has Thielen or Bateman as well. So you need to pick one: CeeDee Lamb, Thielen, Bateman.
I might stick with CeeDee for another week.
Yeah, I think it's too early to abandon ship on CeeDee.
I mean, obviously it's the backup quarterback, but I'm sticking.
They're still gonna have to throw the ball,
right? I'm going to stick with CeeDee for another week. Not like any of those guys came out and really knocked your socks off either.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all boys ready to get out of here?
I think so.
Let's get out of here. Make sure you join us every week for this. Like I said, going to be dialing this thing in, making it a little tighter, trying to have a little bit of fun when we do it, and just give you kind of a recap of what we saw every week on Mondays. So we'll be back we're going to have John Bauer on here. We're going to have J Mike on here. We're going to be doing some college rundown stuff, and we're going to have all other, we'll do rookie. We'll talk more in depth about the rookies once we're a little further in to, get 4 weeks under our belt or something before we start covering those kind of guys. So we're going to have all sorts of different conversations and different guests throughout the season, get some college talk in. I definitely want to do some of that. I know you're excited about that.
Always excited about college.
Who are the Penn State guys we should
Auburn. Playing Auburn this week.
Who's the Penn State guys that we're excited about?
Tinsley, Washington. Those are the only 2 draft eligible guys I'm taking care of.
The pleasure stream. I like that. That's what Joe wants to call this
Let's
show.
Do it. Pleasure stream. Let's get it.
All right. Well, make sure you like, subscribe, send us a video, send us a screenshot of a 5-star review, enter you into a contest.
Didn't do the drawing tonight.
No, we didn't do that.
We'll catch you Wednesday with that.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be Thursday by the time it comes out.
Right. All right. Anybody got anything else? Appreciate y'all for joining us. We love you guys. We'll see you later. Peace.